Welcome back to INN CEO Talks. Joining me today is Dale Wallster, the CEO of Southern Empire Resources, which trades on the TSX Venture Exchange under the symbol SMJ. Dale, welcome. Thank you for joining me. You've got a pretty exciting company that you have pulled together here in the last 12 months, which is also an interesting and exciting time to be developing a new venture. Tell us a little bit about Southern Empire Resources. What motivated you to bring this team together, and particularly the resource that you're looking at down in southeastern California?
Yeah, we're Southern Empire Resources is a relatively new company. We started trading in March of 2020. Did a couple of financings last year, and here we are today. The company came to into being when I was talking with James Hutton one day. Would have been 2019. We were just having a phone call, and James said that he had a capital pool company called Owl Capital, and he was very excited about the way that gold was looking. He thought he wanted to be into a gold deal, and even though some of his partners wanted to do pot or whatever it was that they wanted to do at the time, I said, James and I had done things in the past together, and I said, well, if you want to get into gold, Ron Nedelitsky and I have interest in this terrific project down in the States. And I went over to James's house, sat down, had coffee with him, and showed him a map of the high-grade gold intercepts on the Oro Cruz gold project. And he took a look at those, and he said, wow, he said, those are quite the drill results. I'd love to put this into Owl Capital. So we spent far too much time struggling with the regulatory authorities to get the thing up and listed. We thought we'd get conditional approval from the exchange much earlier than what we did. When we finally got it, it was almost Christmas of 2019. Could be out there to try to raise money at Christmas time. So we kind of waited until early 2020, and we raised $3.5 million at about 30 cents a share, and we came public in March of 2020.
So let's talk about this Oro Cruz property, because it's not a new property, and as you said, it's got some pretty impressive drill results. Let's first of all talk about those results, and then we'll talk about the region in which the property it can be found.
Sure. As you say, Oro Cruz is not a new property. It's located in southeastern California, in Imperial County, and it's located in a belt of rocks that's called the Caborca orogenic gold trend. And within that trend of rocks that moves from Mexico across the border into the States, there is some terrific gold deposits. They don't get a lot of recognition. Herradura is the primary deposit in the neighborhood. It's in Mexico. It's owned by Fresnillo, and it produces over 400,000 ounces annually. And then as you move across the border, there's a lot of good rocks, but they're all covered with American military bombing ranges and such, and until a little bit of space opens up, and then you've got, in our immediate neighborhood, you've got the Oro Cruz Gold Project. The Oro Cruz comprises the American Girl, the Padre Madre, and the Oro Cruz, three sort of distinct deposits in a property that we refer to as Oro Cruz. And then you move 14 kilometers up the road from us, and you have Equinox Gold's Mesquite gold mine that just the other day announced 2020 production of 141,300 ounces of gold. They beat their guidance. The Mesquite deposit has been in production for quite some time now and produced a lot of ounces.
Well, Well, what was it that attracted you to look at Southern California? Because it hasn't been particularly sought after territory for the last little while, especially around gold. What was it now that made you say, no, 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 there's a really good opportunity in here, and now's the time?
Yeah. Well, when we formed this company, we also have another property in Nevada. So Ron and I had joint interest in that property as well, and we were saying, well, what are we going to do with these American gold projects that we have? And we said, well, why don't we look at putting together a Southwest U.S. focused gold company? And and that's what we did. And California, to be blunt, it's not a an easy state, and it's not a state that's appreciated by a lot of people. But you have to remember, it is called the state, and it's called the Golden State for a reason. You know, up until relatively recently, the amount of gold produced from the state of California was pretty incredible, and it's only since the Nevada Carlin Trend deposits kicked in that Nevada's which is nicknamed the Silver State, has actually become the current Golden State. But there's great gold endowment in California, and in Imperial County, you have Mesquite, you have the past operations that occurred at American Girl, Padre Madre, and Oro Cruz, and you have the past operations that Glamis had at one point in time at Muchacho. So Imperial County is one of the more mining friendly counties in the state of California. Not all of California is mining friendly. Don't get me wrong, and permitting is a very key component of what you do in the state and how you move forward. It can be arduous, but we firmly believe that if you dot the I's and cross the T's and do what you need to do, you will ultimately receive your permits and be able to move forward, and hopefully at the end of the day find something significant enough to actually put a mine into production.
Well, this was a productive area in the past. These projects had been producing up until we saw dipping gold prices back in the mid 1990s, and they've lain dormant until now. Does the fact that there is historical activity here help you with that permitting process and ensure that once you get that you can move forward with a certain amount of ease and efficiency?
Yeah, most certainly. The majority of the ground that we are interested in, not necessarily the majority of our property, but on our property, you have quite a number of areas that are previously disturbed by mining activities. And the mining at Oro Cruz and American Girl goes back to the turn of the late 1800s, early 1900s. But more importantly, in the mid 80s, Adolph Lundine's company, Eastmac Gold, bought the American Girl project from Newmont and went about developing a mine there. So Lundin brought in a company called Morrison Knudsen, which was a very large American mining engineering company, and they were contract miners initially and ultimately became joint venture partners in the American Girl mining venture. And they put both underground and open pit mines into production at American Girl and Padre Madre. And they as part of that history, Ross Beatty, his original Equinox Resources took over Eastmac Gold, and then he ultimately got taken over by Hecla, which, as you know, is a considerable American mining company. And so it was Hecla and Morrison Knudsen. They'd formed a company and floated it on the American exchanges called MK Gold that ultimately were working on this part of the world. And as production was winding down at American Girl and Padre Madre, they started to look at the Oro Cruz project, and they brought Oro Cruz into production in mid to late 1995. They shut it down on November 1st of 96 because of declining gold prices. But in the year that it actually produced, and it produced primarily from the Cross open pit and a little bit from the Cross underground, it produced about 61,000 ounces of gold, oxide gold, that they ran through high grade, they ran through a mill, and low grade, they put on leach pads. And those leach pads are in existence today. And it's actually one of the things that we're interested in.
So we saw the price of gold, of course, dip in the 90s, and then the area lay dormant. I just checked the price of gold just before coming online here with you. We're about $1,860 an ounce at the moment. Is that pricing in the range that makes this a financially viable property for you?
I would like to think so. We haven't done the engineering yet to determine that. Our immediate goal is to get out and use sonic drilling technology to drill the existing heap leach pads and see if there's any existing or not existing. We know there's gold in them, but we would like to quantify how much gold is in those existing heap leach pads. While we're doing that, we're fully permitted for the first phase of sonic drilling on the Padre Madre and the American Girl leach pads. While we're working on those, we're continuing our permitting efforts to allow us to further explore the Oro Cruz area. And right now, the property has a historical resource of about 341,000 ounces of gold. We firmly believe that the property has potential for greater than 1 million ounces. But our initial focus will be on the high-grade gold zone that is accessed by the existing underground workings that MK Gold and Hecla developed in the early 1990s to access the Oro Cruz underground or the Cross underground. And
What's your schedule?
That's where we get some terrific high-grade gold results over significant intervals.
What's your schedule here over the next few months?
The next few months will take us through the first phase of the sonic drilling of the heap leach pads. It'll get us material that we can submit to various metallurgical labs for metallurgical testing. And it'll also allow us to submit a number of samples to the labs for fire assay to see how much gold actually exists in the leach pads. We'll follow that up as soon as we finish this program. We'll get our initial gold results. We'll most probably look at permitting the second round of sonic drilling for the property. And as we continue to work on our permitting efforts for the balance of the property.
And your financing at the moment, I understand that you've got pretty good reserves right at the moment that you can move forward with confidence, and then based on the results, you'll then go back out to the market and raise your next tranche of cash.
I'm not sure that we'll go back to the market in short order. We have probably in the neighborhood of $8 million working capital today. We have, it's pretty easy to spend that when you get going on some significant drilling and metallurgical testing programs. But having said that, right now, I think that one of the key things to know about our company is that we hold a very significant position in a company called Bullfrog Gold. And Bullfrog Gold, as you may know, has recently the major shareholders have changed, and Richard Wark's Augusta Investments are now the largest shareholder. They're actually going to rename the company. I believe it's Augusta Gold here later in January. We own, what is it, 8.75 million shares of Bullfrog, and we have warrants for another 7.75 million shares. And I think, if I recall correctly, I crunched some numbers the other day, and I think that our shareholdings in Bullfrog are worth about 13 or 14 cents a share to us, and we're trading at, well, I don't know where we're at today, 25 cents, 24 cents. We also have about $3.5 million in cash, I believe, those are currently in the bank.
In other words, you're in a good position, which is a nice place to be.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be nice to have 20 million in the bank, but we can't complain. That's for sure.
So, to investors right at the moment, why now is the time for them to get involved in Southern Empire?
Well, if you took a look at our chart, you'd see that we started trading in March, and we relatively quickly ramped up to a $1.40 a share. We're currently at a $1.25 share. We took a pretty significant hit late in the year when some things went awry with. I mentioned we had another project in Nevada. We stuck some drill holes in that, and we bust our pick. Unfortunately, we had much higher hopes for that property than what the drill bit returned to us. That combined with people that had participated in 30-cent placement and a 50-cent placement, and the stock got up to a $1.40. Stock came free trading. We got hit pretty hard. Then, unfortunately, we also had we had a failed takeover of a company that hit us hard too. We had our sights set on Saskatchewan, gold company there, and we needed 66 2/3% of the voting shares at their special general meeting, and we got 65.7%. We missed it by less than a percent. So here we sit at 25 cents. We got lots of cash in the bank. We've got other working capital in the form of our Bullfrog shareholdings. We have a terrific project. We're permitted to go drilling. We're drilling probably next week. We anticipate the sonic drills to show up at the property. We just announced this morning that we completed the road and pad construction for those drill sites. And and we've got a team, and we're pushing forward aggressively.
Yeah, so the bad news has been behind you. It's been accounted for. You're sitting in a good position, and there's opportunity ahead. So the next couple of months...
2020 in the rearview mirror.
Yes, for a whole host of reasons. And
yes.
now we drive forward into 2021. We'll be looking forward with some enthusiasm in the coming months to see how those drill results play out, and also where you get to in that permitting process on the Oro Cruz project. I think that it's going to be an interesting time ahead for you here in the next few months, and it sounds like it's going to be upside. So I hope that you'll come back to us in the spring and give us an update.
I'd love to do that. But one thing that I want to point out to everybody that's watching, I invite you to go to our website, smpsierramotherpapa.gold. And on our website, you will find somewhere there in the presentation, you will find a link to the flyby of the Oro Cruz property. Mm-hmm. And you really have to click on that link and watch that flyby. And when you do, You'll see the significance of the high grade gold historical drilling. And in addition to that, you'll understand the significance and value of the existing underground workings that will allow us to access that material.
Yeah, wonderful. Okay, thank you, Dale. I look forward to seeing you in a few months for an update.
Thank you very much.